The rapidly growing business dependence on network systems and the internet, coupled with rapidly evolving cybersecurity threat landscape and the amount that is at stake for companies in today's digital first world, becomes the boardroom level discussion. With this, gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Malay Upadhyay, Sophos sales engineer, Sophos India, to present his views on the growing cyber threats and how to minimize the cyber security threat landscape. Mr. Malay Upadhyay works as sales engineer at Sophos for India region. Prior to this role, he worked as a consultant at Sophos for EMEA. A postgraduate from University of Technology, Sydney in computer science, he has been involved in the information security field for the past 13 years. When not tinkering with security tools, Mr. Malay talks at trade shows and raises security awareness at public events.
Much has been talked about cybersecurity and threat landscape, as we know that the threats are getting more and more sophisticated in nature and are on rise than ever before. There's a strong need to automate the defense mechanism. Hello and very warm welcome for today's session. My name is Malay Upadhyay and I work into sales engineering at Sophos. I'm going to talk about how we can automate your cybersecurity. So let's begin. The rise of cyber attack targeting the data and critical infrastructure of nations is undeniable, with no signs of slowing down. From state-sponsored hackers to hacktivists to criminal enterprises, groups are leveraging the power of automation to deploy malware with speed and scale. Given the automated nature of many of these attacks, traditional manual approach to defense are clearly no longer enough. However, there are ways organizations can protect critical information and their infrastructure from compromise by automating your cybersecurity response. Let's step back a bit and understand the kill chain process. The attacker can infiltrate the organization in many different ways. By gaining remote access to a system on the network through stealing, guessing the password, by using a phishing email or an attachment, by using a compromised website to exploit a browser vulnerability and install some payload, through an office document loaded with malware, or by leaving a USB stick where someone might find it and plug it into the SaaS system. Once into the network, if it's not the hacker themselves that got access, the malware will call home to let the hacker know that it's successful and wait for the hacker to do something with it. It may then spread on its own if that's what it's designed to do so, either exploiting vulnerability across the network or using credential theft. Then it can do one of the following things that benefits the hacker. A, it can steal data, credentials, banking information, or start using resources on the network to mine cryptocurrency. It can become a bot and participate in attacking other organizations. It can encrypt files or block access to system in exchange for ransom. A security solution must protect the network in several ways by using different defense approach. For example, block the attack from entering the network in the first place by using different techniques like IPS, web security, email, sandboxing, or prevent malware from calling home using APT and web filtering control, preventing it from spreading, basically what we call it as lateral movement, block it from stealing sensitive information by using different techniques like DLP protection, blocking and isolating the infected machine and neutralizing the threats. Now, as you see, there are much things that are needed to be done by the IT team to keep them improving their security posture across different security measures in place. And this involves a lot of manual tasks for the for the IT staff. Perhaps it's the time from the individual security products such as endpoint, firewall, email, mobile, etc., working on their own to cybersecurity as a system where product works together. I think of a point product as an island. Each one can be very good in their own right, but they work in an isolation. There is no sharing of information between the products. Each one has its own management console, and they are all built separately by completely different engineering teams. So you have to manually make them all play nicely together. While point security products are like an island, cybersecurity as a system is like a team. They work together using their combined capabilities to stop threats, sharing information in real time, and they can all be managed through a single centralized console. Plus, because they are all engineered from start to work together, they are compatible by design. So where are we heading? Zero Trust Synchronized Security creates an autonomous system that understands the environment on which it is operating in order to analyze that environment and make it better and faster decision than a human can make. Build dynamic security policies based on threat detection, user behavior, traffic analysis, and compliance guideline, and automate device containment and restoring by sharing security intelligence between security solutions. With Sophos, all security solutions are tightly integrated and are designed to share security intelligence between each other to automate the response through a single management console, which is known as Sophos Central. Synchronized security is a technique that enables sharing security intelligence between security solutions using security heartbeat, as you can see. The machines continuously shares the heartbeat status, whether they are clean or they are in bad health. The endpoint triggers the change in health status if the endpoint detects malicious traffic or there is an attempt to call home, or the ATP engine or the endpoint identifies a threat itself. On the other hand, the firewall triggers the change in health status of the endpoint if it sees the IPS alerts while scanning network traffic from that particular endpoint. With Sophos endpoint itself, while Sophos endpoint itself isolates the computer once infected and is in process of neutralizing the threat, in parallel, it also informs the firewall about its current bad health. The firewall would then dynamically create policies to block network traffic destined to such unhealthy endpoint. So basically it prevents the lateral movement from the compromised device. And it also informs all the nodes in the same network, in the same broadcast domain or in a different network segment to refrain from talking the compromised computer. So once Sophos endpoint cleans the malware, it would again it will again signal back to the firewall, telling the firewall that now it is clean, and the firewall will restore all the network access the endpoint had before. So what typically takes on an average about 3 hours to respond to an incident with Sophos, with cybersecurity, when they're working as a system, it automates it in just 8 seconds. Just like the endpoint security, wireless and mobile security also shares the intelligence with different components. Here, for an example, if a mobile user does something which is classified as a compliance violation and which has the action deny network set in the mobile, a bad heartbeat status will be sent to the will be sent to the wireless access point. The wireless would then restrict Wi-Fi access to selected sites and domains only. This is known as walled garden. The mobile users are then notified with a splash screen on their device that Wi-Fi access has been restricted from their BYOD device. Similarly, endpoint security and email security synchronized with a potential threat with a phish threat simulation tool. So, for example, email security identifies users who is regularly clicking on malicious links or the files which he receives over the email, and that violates your security policy or security standard uh, within your organization. So security and email security not only prevents the user from accessing those, but it also enrolls the users automatically for a phish threat training. And the user would automatically receive a training module wherein he needs to learn and develop a clicking culture, what to click and what not to. So why Sophos? Sophos provides the most comprehensive cloud platform to manage multiple security solutions from a single console. In addition, the security components work as a cyber security system, as we discussed earlier, allowing the administrator with ease of management as well. These are a few of the achievements in the recent past. Sophos rating stands tall. So that's it from my side. Thank you very much for listening to me. Wish you have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Malay, for your wonderful presentation.